All right. It is exactly start time over here, but we'll hopefully have some more people join us. But if not, this is a great group. My name is Kate Finn, and we today will be talking about returning to school safely and what that's going to look like. But before we begin, there are three notes that we wanted to bring attention to. One, please note that this webinar will be recorded. You will receive a copy of the recording at the end. Make sure that your mic is on mute, but if you have questions, please enter them into the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. If you're having difficulty with the chat box, please feel free to take yourself off mute and ask your question right away. That is not a problem at all. The chat box will be monitored so we can keep track of any questions as they come in, but I do understand not everybody's familiar with Google Meets or Google Hangouts, and so that chat box may be a little bit intimidating. So feel free to take yourself off mute if you do have that question. But those are the three notes we certainly wanted to start off today with. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Kate Finn. I am the trainer for ELB. I was formerly, before I joined ELB 5 years ago, I was a teacher. I taught kindergarten, adult education, and 7th grade language arts. So kind of a wide range of ages there. But when I joined ELB, I knew that I wanted to work in ed tech. And I wanted to work with teachers. I was always given technology or new things in my classroom and told to figure it out on my spare time, and teachers, administrators, we all know we don't have that spare time to figure out. So I wanted to be part of that solution. With us today, as we begin to talk about returning to school safely, we have two of ELB's fantastic resources here and experts. So I'm going to start with Dawn. I'm going to let each one of them introduce themselves before we get started.
Hi, my name is Dawn Reinard with ELB, and I've been a commercial interior designer for 26 years, and my specialty is K-12 design.
Hi, my name is Bonnie Green. I am the Senior Furniture Sales Coordinator for ELB. I've got 28 years of experience in the K through 12 furniture market. I've worked on very big projects like Baltimore City in Maryland, where they had a 5-year bid that they were trying to get 21st century furniture into, and they were going to be constructing 21 new schools over that time frame. So I was a part of that bid, that winning bid, and providing furniture for that project, as well as like Philadelphia public schools. They were renovating all of their pre-K through 4th grades for a particular classroom. So we did 13 schools back then, as well as individual projects where we're only designing and setting up furniture in one room. They're all very important to me, and it's like I'm a new parent and I'm presenting my baby, you know, to my customers. So every project is important to me, and we look forward to working with you all in the future. So I'll turn it back over to Kate.
All right, well, thank you both. In preparation for this webinar, we did pull some pictures, and we were thinking about, well, you know, let's pull pictures from what a classroom looks like now to what a classroom looked like 100 years ago. And we quickly realized we don't need to pull a picture from 100 years ago or a drawing even. We can go back 50 years ago. We can go back 10 years ago. Sadly, right now, we can go back 1 year ago and see a major difference about of what the classrooms look like then and now. We are entering a different time. But I mean, thinking about classrooms of past, you see on this slide here that the one on the left, there's a lot of students in that one room with that one teacher. All the students are at their individual desks, sitting exactly the same way, in rows, no groups, no strategies of collaboration being shown here. But the resilience of that teacher, she has a large class size here, and she makes it work. You look at a more modern classroom, as in the image on the right-hand side of that screen, you see students sitting on the floor. They're either sitting crisscross applesauce or on their knees, but we have those rugs. We're moving from the actual chairs to, all right, well, let's all sit in a common area and sit the way that you're comfortable sitting. So just taking a look at those two pictures, we do see a lot of difference. Even the classroom, the more modern classroom, we see a lot more decorations set up in that classroom. The students are sitting very close together. As we think about returning back to our classrooms now, we have to think about that space. We want to give the students that freedom to kind of choose their own seating, choose the style in which they will learn the best and be the most successful in. So we need to keep that in mind without making ourselves revert back to 50 years ago where every student has to learn in the same way. They have to sit in the row. We need to keep those things in our minds. So as we're taking a look at those classrooms, I mentioned 50 years ago and today. Well, again, take a look at last year's classrooms and take a look at this year's classrooms. A classroom, I have a couple of statements up at the top. A classroom is more than an educational environment. Yes, it's an educational environment, but we also have sensory places. To a student, being able to go into a different section of the same room, a same classroom, is a whole nother world to them. You're within the same four walls, but if they can move from one space to another, that's a totally different area in their minds. So when we look at the classrooms of maybe even last year, we have our science area, we have a sensory area where students can just kind of go and relax, chill out, maybe involve some of their other senses and take that break. We also have that classroom library. Now it's very important to think about, these are the things that we as teachers and administrators love to see, love to utilize. Our students love to utilize these things too. Switch gears to today. The two images on the right hand of that screen, that's today's classroom. We are trying to social distance. We are making 6 feet apart, spacing our desks out. We have a teacher in that top corner. She's putting hand sanitizer on her hands after she's just gone through and cleaned all of those desks. We want to really make sure that as we're thinking about going back to school safely, we're doing it in a way that maybe we can kind of combine these two, the classroom of the past and today's classroom, together. And the way that we need to, and things we need to keep in mind as we go back is, one of the driving forces is students and teachers' social and emotional wellness. Super important. I'm sure we could all share stories about our time in quarantine and the stir craziness that we all experienced. Our students experienced that exact same thing. They may not have had brothers and sisters that they could interact and play with. They were stuck at home. Maybe they didn't have that. Their learning has probably been hindered just a little bit. Teachers, we did our very best to pick up then when from March when it all shut down. We did our very best to make sure that nothing was left undone. We tried to make sure that our students were still learning at home. We can only do so much. So the social and emotional wellness of students, they've been stuck at home. They've been kind of hindered. A lot of them have spent a lot of time on technology. Moving back into the classroom, we're going to gain that learning that we maybe had lost, that time that we had. We're going to gain that back, and then we think about the social aspect of it. We want students to be able to interact with each other. Some of my favorite things to do with my colleagues is to brainstorm. I learned so much just from getting on a call and talking to them, but I learned so much from them when I get to see their faces and see their expression. Like, maybe they don't want to tell me my idea is bad, but I can read it on your face kind of feel. Same with our students. They need to learn those nonverbal cues for sure. They need to learn the body language, but they need that interaction. They need that time with their peers to grow. So we need to think about their well-being. Teachers, Administrators, we need to think about your well-being as well. This is a very stressful time for everybody. The students, a lot of our attention is put on the students of, oh, they've been so stressed out. They're going to have such a hard time adjusting back to the classroom. That second line there, a teacher is more than an educator. Absolutely. They are educators, but they're also the supporters. They're the security of the students. The teachers are the first line of defense. Also, the CDC has quoted that over 57% of our students receive some sort of mental health care from the schools. That is a lot of our students. Not all of that health care comes directly from the guidance counselors. Teachers, you are that as well. The students need you. I needed my students for sure as well. There are times when I had a newborn, things were crazy at home. Going back to work was kind of a safe haven for me at times. And I'm sure there are other teachers that feel that same way, getting back into that routine, getting back into life. But teachers, you have a lot on your plate. You're not just a teacher. You're not just there to provide information for the students. You're there to provide the information, but you're there to ensure their safety, ensure for their social emotional wellness as well, but also for their health. There's a lot of concern about spacing within the classroom and how are we going to do that? Well, fortunately for us, we have Don and Bonnie. Don and Bonnie are fantastic. They can look at a space and think, because they have such a great background knowledge of the different types of furniture out there, and they can start to plan that area. We don't have to lose our student centers, our student areas. We can just plan better. So teachers, I know you're teachers. I know you're healthcare providers. I know that you put Band-Aids on a lot of boo-boos every year. And I know that you work with students' mental wellness. You don't have to also be the interior designer of your classroom. You can have help with that. So with that in mind, I'm going to turn it over to Don. I lied, I will in a moment, but I had one more slide that I definitely wanted to show you. Positivity. Positivity goes a long way. Positivity, if you go into something with a positive thought process, it's going to be better for your stress levels. Positivity is better on your immune system as well. Teachers, those are two things we struggle with every single school year, our stress levels, as well as our immune system. Especially during this time, it's very important that we think in a positive way. Change isn't always fun, but it can be. Think about now that we have spacing within our classroom, down here in this lower left-hand corner, there's an image of students' desks set up in rows individually, just like that 50 years ago picture. But they're dividers, they can't see each other. That's not very fun. However, a positive outlook, we have acrylic dividers here. These are two teachers from Florida. They set up their classroom for their students to come in. They set it up so that every desk looks like a Jeep. Are we socially distanced? Yes. Are they separated equally? Yes, absolutely. But the students don't have to come in with this fear of, I can't be close to you, and have that anxiety and stress instilled in them. Now the students come in, they don't have dividers, they've got a windshield and windows. Like, this is pretty cool. I can handle this. They can see each other. The image below, you have two students with a divider between them. They're pretty close together, but at that same time, they're so excited to see each other. They get to interact, they get to collaborate a little bit more and have that body language being shown to them. Another one, the far bottom right-hand corner, we have a yellow line. One of the things that we often catch ourselves doing a lot with our students is, don't do this. No, you can't do that. Don't cross that line. All kinds of no's, don'ts, and it's just being thrown at them. What if we took those no's and don'ts and turned them into do's? So instead of having that line on the ground, we have decals, one-way traffic for our hallway. For the older students, those one-way stickers go a long way. We're not saying, don't do this. Just read the signs and go ahead and go down that hallway. Our younger students, we can have sensory hallways, two-way traffic, but it's instead of don't cross that line, ooh, tightrope on that line. See if you can hopscotch down that hallway. Make it fun. One that's been kind of a challenge for my fourth grader as he's gone back is in third grade, he and his teacher had a secret handshake. Bless her heart, I'm not sure how she remembered every one of their handshakes. But this year, he doesn't have that. They cannot shake hands. There are alternatives to shaking hands. As you greet your students, do a 5-second dance or a 3-second dance that only the two of you know. Bump elbows, bump feet. There's a lot of alternative ways and alternative things that we can do with our students that still makes that connection between the student and the teacher without that physical touch. So as we go through this, I know that a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear can be instilled, but let's not turn that and put that on our students as well. Let's keep that positive look on things as we go through this. Now, as I promised, I'm going to turn this over to Dawn, who's going to share some of the things that she has in her wallet of experience here. So Dawn, I'm going to hand it over.
All right. Thank you, Kate, so much. I just wanted to show some of my designs in the classrooms that I feel are really good points. And the important thing with the classrooms now is, like Kate said, you do have to separate the students. But if you see in this drawing here, I have the same desks in each room. And on the upper drawing, there are clusters of 5. So you have 15 students, and there is a hand washing station also, yep, right there. And then the teacher's station as well. So that is the same number of students as the separated classroom example next to it. And those are the same desks. So it's very difficult to fit a lot of students, especially during the socially distanced time. So it's better to have less students in the classroom, or there are other things you can do, like flex the classroom hours. There's many things that the schools are doing right now, but I just wanted to show an example of the furniture in each different classroom, how you can buy the same amount of furniture or the same amount of desks, and then you can maybe only put part of it in the classroom. So I have another example if you want to go to the next slide. This is another example of furniture in a socially distanced layout. These desks can be moved around, and the student's backpack or supplies can go in the bottom. And then the other table is a Rover table that the top can flip up and the stools actually go inside. And we'll show examples of this in a little bit. Bonnie will show those. And the next slide. This is another layout where you can max out the classroom with all the seating and all the furniture, but perhaps you won't be putting all of the students in there at the same time. Maybe you only have 1 student at each table instead of 2. But if you want to buy the furniture and get it into that classroom to make sure that you have enough for future, you just don't put as many students in the space at one time. And then there are also dividers that you can use in between those students as well.
I think
so
one thing
okay,
I'm
go ahead.
so sorry. I was just going to go back to this very first one that you had, and thinking about those dividers. We were talking about the different spots in the classroom. You take a look at the lower section, and each student is in their own little individual hub here. And you're using up the same amount, same desks, but if we put them in the clusters and we had those dividers, we've just made so much more room for those center activities, the science or the library room as well. Same amount of furniture, add dividers, and we've got that solved. So I like that. I wanted to show that out, speak out to that, but I was waiting for you to talk about the dividers on this one so I could flip back.
Yeah.
So thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem. Yeah, I like that. Thank you, Kate. So yeah, this layout, these tables also can flip up and they can be moved out of the way. So if you do need to have you don't want as many tables in this classroom, you can easily get them out of the way, or you can roll them out of the room if you need to. So I'm going to turn it over to Bonnie, and she's going to go over some individually some of these pieces of furniture. Oh, I'm sorry, there's one more slide. We have one more example, excuse me. This is combining some different tables with that same type of seating with the storage underneath. You can also use the dividers in these and move the tables easily because the tables could have casters. We also have charging stations included and technology that ELB also sells. So now I'm going to turn it over to Bonnie.
Thank you, everyone, for attending our webinar. We really appreciate it. I'm just going to point out some particular advantages and benefits of some of the products that Dawn's put in her drawings. The protective dividers is an important product in these times right now. You want to make sure that you're safe being an educator, as well as your students are safe as well. We do have the desktop shields, which we're calling the barrier buddies. They can be a trifold, and they can be put on any rectangular shape or any kind of shape desk that you want, as the sides do fold out to be able to move around on that desk, so you do have that barrier between your students. Scroll down. We do have two different types of the trifold barriers as well. The clear acrylic and also a corrugated, which does also have the clear panels as well. So you can see through and you can have that interaction with your students, as well as the students can have the interaction with each other in order to benefit their well-being. As a protection for the teacher themselves, we do have a single panel barrier that does have feet. We do have some that do have transaction windows, like in the bottom with the gentleman sitting behind the laptop. There is a hole there, so your students could slide their homework through there. But you do have that barrier in there, you know, between your face, and if you're speaking to your student, you do have that barrier between them. So let's go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, keep going down. We do have the 4-station tabletop dividers. That is a good option for you when you have like rectangular tables or round tables, or even like in this picture, we have a cloud-shaped table that flips and nests. This is a 4-station tabletop divider. It will allow 4 students to sit there, but they still have that protective barrier between themselves, you know, across from each other as well as beside each other. So when you don't, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I love this example right here. Unfortunately didn't have a cloud table when I was teaching, but I did have that kidney-shaped table. And when I had my reading group, that would have been fantastic to have, because I could still pull those students for that small group and work with them and still send them back. So nothing in my classrooms changed. There's just that clear divider. So I love this example right here.
Absolutely. Then also too, we have more of a privacy panel. Go. We do have the privacy panels that is more for like a testing kind of feature. So they can't see through them. It's more like a Carol type look that you could put on the ends of rectangular tables. So if you only have to have 1 student per table at a 2-student normal table, you can, you can go about putting those panels on each end, and you can do testing as well. And another option are these mobile clear dividers. This is a good option for the teacher. It is mobile. You can move it around the classroom as you're teaching. You can put it in front of you as you're at one of the mobile teaching podiums that we have. And it does protect you as well as your students when you're up in front of the class teaching.
This is another, and I love that they're mobile, but this is another one that we talked about the other day. If you have a resource teacher that has to go from classroom to classroom, easily a resource teacher could be assigned one of these mobile ones, and they could go into that classroom and still have that time with the student and move on to the next classroom. So I love that we've made these on on those wheels. I think it's great.
Okay, so we do have hand washing stations available too. We partner with very good manufacturers. We have good relationships with these manufacturers, and one of the manufacturers does provide these Clean Hands Helper portable sinks. We have them in various sizes, heights, I should say. More geared towards your elementary school students is the shorter one. They are available in a plastic sink as well as this stainless steel sink. But also too, there is a feature for hands-free operation. There's an adapter that you can put on the faucet that you can wave your hands in front of, and the water will automatically start. And also too, we do have the higher ones for middle and high school students. This is a good option to put right in your classrooms so that you know their hands are clean, and you know, especially for like your elementary school students, you know, where they, you know, like to do the touchy-feely kind of things and you know, on their desks and all that. So just to make sure that they're clean and they don't always have that opportunity to go use the restroom, you'll have one of these right in your classroom. And you know, you can wash your hands, sing the happy birthday song, and you're all good.
My kindergartner, they now take water bottles to school because they cannot use a water fountain. So he takes a water bottle to school, and we just this weekend got a newsletter from the teacher saying, we're not going to keep the water bottles at the students' desks anymore because we're using the bathroom an awful lot more than we used to. So I just think of having one of these little clean hands helpers in his classroom. I know they already have one sink, but having that additional sink would get more students through the whole bathroom process, and less learning time would be absorbed by going to the bathroom, washing our hands, and going through that. So I love that we carry this as well.
Another option as well for movability about the classroom. These Ethos chairs are a very good option because you have an all-in-one product for your student. You have storage so that they can store their backpacks. If they do have a water bottle, you can put that water bottle right there. The chair is movable. They have that tablet arm in order to be able to write on. But also too, if you're in an area that has longer, warmer seasons, you can go outdoors to teach your class. So that would help with the ventilation options as well as the social distancing option. And then if you're going with the standard desks and chairs, we have those barriers to be able to put on the desks. So you still do have that interaction, but you do have that social distancing feature as well. Okay, the additional item that I wanted to talk about is the Rover Table. This is a very good option, and Kate's going to play a video for you that shows how these stools stack inside. As well, when the top is flipped up, that particular product will go through any standard door size. So you can move these in and out of different classrooms, Or you can also move this outdoors to teach your class as well as using the other Ethos product as well. And I know storage is a good idea to have as well, individual storage. And Kate, you might want to talk about this, you know, your experience as being an educator and that ability to have that extra storage.
We never have enough storage as a teacher, period. So, but especially as we go back to school, I know I'm thinking a lot of the arts classrooms, in that each student now has to bring their own art supplies. There's no more communal crayons or marker bucket kind of feel to it. That being said, it would be so helpful and beneficial to both the classroom teacher and the art teacher if we had these bins. Each student can have their own bin. That's where they keep their supplies. We're not having to tote back and forth to and from. It's all right there. And I love the fact that with this Rover table, you can set it up in a variety of different ways. You can have it so that the students have their own bins. You have a pegboard in the second one, a pegboard where if you're doing a STEM type of classroom, or a maker space, you might have additional wires. So the fact that these Rover tables not only can go back outside with your students, yay, living in Florida all year round, you can go right back inside or outside and utilize these, but you have additional storage for a lot of those needs. So I like those very much. Thank you so much. Sorry about the additional ringing here, but thank you so much, Dawn and Bonnie. We truly appreciate your expertise. And again, your ability to take a space and see a space and hear somebody's needs and say, okay, well, you want to have this kind of a setup, we can assist you with that. And I think your expertise in that is fantastic and so helpful. When we're thinking about going back to school safely, as all of you know, our funds are shortened. What we had planned on at the beginning of last year's school year on taking our funding and putting it towards has done a 180. Like, nope, we've got to now buy hand sanitizers. We have to purchase a lot of different types of seating arrangements or just PPE products. So our funding has shifted to those things, and the things that we planned on and we wanted and needed had to be put on that back burner. Well, ELB saw that and we heard the need. We decided we would start what we call a GAP team, a grant assistance program. That team, what we do is we will assist you in finding a grant that meets your needs, whether it is acrylic dividers, whether it is PPE products of some sort, whether it's technology, whatever it is that you're looking for, we can help you. Our grant program can help you find a grant. I talked about the why. Because of the pandemic, school funds have been placed elsewhere. There's not a lot of money right now in our school funds, but there's a lot of money out there within grants. We do the hunting and we do the writing for you. You just talk to the grant team and you tell us what it is that you're looking for. You give us specifics. We will find the grant, we will write the grant, and we will be hand in hand with you the entire time. This is an entirely free program. There's no hidden costs. There's no, oh, but we get 10% of whatever you earn. Nothing. We're truly here for the teachers and for the schools. We want to make sure that we're helping. How to apply for this? You have a business development manager in your territory. We can reach out to them, or you can email the grant assistance program by emailing us at grants@elb.com. What we'll do is we'll send you a survey. That survey is, I think, 10 or 12 questions, just kind of getting to know what your needs are, and then we'll set up a virtual call. So again, free program to help you find those needed funds to apply to your classroom, to apply to your school so that we can return to school safely. With that in mind, We do have some upcoming webinars, but before we have the upcoming webinars and kind of tell you a little bit more about this, we do have, and I'm going to kind of copy and paste this and put it in our chat box here. All kinds of noises coming from my end today. I apologize. We're going to take this and we're going to copy and paste it and put it into our chat box. And if you wouldn't mind filling out this brief survey to let us know, and there it is in the chat box on the right-hand side, letting us know what kinds of webinars you would like to have. What kinds of things do you need more information on? Dawn mentioned technology. We do offer technology solutions. We do also include audio visual. We have a whole gamut of products, safety as well. We do have a few upcoming webinar sessions. September 16th, we have interactive collaborative learning, how to make your video conferencing, your Zoom meetings, your Hangouts a little bit more fun and enjoyable for those students. The 21st is titled Creative Ways to Connect and Engage Learners During Blended, Hybrid, or Remote Instruction. This one's actually a really awesome one that I'm looking forward to, as we will have a exemplary teacher as well as an exemplary educator. I said teacher, but educator as well. And what she will be doing is sharing what she's doing during this time and what things she's learned and how best practices. She has a lot of great information to share with us. September 30th is going to be tools to support blended and hybrid learning. There are a lot of tools out there. Sometimes it can be a wee bit overwhelming. So we help you kind of narrow down what kind of tools may be beneficial for what kind of situations. So we truly appreciate your time today, and we want to make sure to open up this floor, open up the microphones and all of that, and see if there are any questions that you may have for Dawn and Bonnie, or for me, or just share out your thoughts here as well, as we are talking about returning to school safely. Are there any questions at this time? Give you a couple moments, because I know sometimes when you're on a new platform, finding that unmute button can be a little bit of a struggle. But feel free to unmute yourselves in the chat box. We also have that questionnaire form that we encourage you to fill out. All right, yes, Bonnie.
Maybe I can answer one question that you might have questions about, or answer a question that might be concerning you. Let's say you're buying all of these acrylic barriers or corrugated barriers or mobile barriers. And you're thinking, what am I going to use these for in the future? You know, once we get past this pandemic, we have so many uses for these things after the fact. For the acrylic barriers, for the trifold barriers that go on student desks, those can be used for testing after, you know, all of this gets over and done with, hopefully sooner than later. But you can use them for testing purposes. You can clip a piece of paper onto each top of the side, and that way they can't see through it to look at other students' papers. The mobile barriers that are on wheels for the teachers to use, those actually have a flip chart clip on the top of those, so you can put a flip chart on there as well and teach your students from that. They are very cleanable as well. It's just soap and water is all you need to use on acrylic to clean them. You don't have to use any harsh chemicals or anything like that. Soap and water should fix it. So
Bonnie, I liked your idea. You had talked about before with the trifolds, having like an art project where you had everybody do a lot of artwork and design some artwork to put on the trifold to use as a testing trifold. So I really liked your idea. I think that's Did you want to talk a little bit about that? I don't remember.
Sure. For the corrugated, and even the acrylic, you can have your students make artwork and you can put it on the front of there, or like those teachers did in Florida, they decorated their desks as, Jeeps. You can have the decorated, have a decoration contest for your students to see who can decorate their shields the best. Also, too, I believe you can use wax pens or washable markers, not dry erase markers or permanent markers, because that will ghost or stain the acrylic. But anything that's washable or like a wax pen can be written directly on there. So.
I think one of the great things to kind of point out is, we're talking about additional furniture and additional things to purchase, but I love that you're highlighting the different ways in which these can still be utilized after everything goes back to normal, which will hopefully be soon enough, but how these can be long lasting. It's not just for right now, it's for future use as well. So I love that you pointed that out. I know one person had a question the other day about, what about the hand sanitizing stations versus the hand washing stations? Is there one that's better than the other kind of feel to it? What are your thoughts or your comments on a question that is posed like that?
Well, you can utilize both of those. They're, in order to make your anxiety levels go down, make you feel more comfortable with having your kids in the back in the classrooms. You can have your hand washing stations in the classroom, but you can have sanitizing stations out in the hallways before they even enter your classroom, or like if they're going to an area to eat, having a sanitizing station available is great.
That's a great idea. So having that hand washing station in the classroom, so it's not kind of traveling everywhere, but the hand sanitizer right at door entrances, if you will, as you go in, do your thing, go inside the classroom. Before you leave the classroom, wash, and then you can carry on. So I like that. Well, thank you so much. I want to make sure to answer any and all questions, but I also want to be mindful of everybody's time. Are there any more questions or concerns that you have? All right. Please remember, you can always reach out to ELB if you have any questions or concerns. And we do have that form in the chat box, but we also want to remind you of our grant program, grants@elb.com. Feel free to reach out at any time, and we're happy to help you in any way that we can. Again, Dawn, Bonnie, yes, Bonnie?
Okay, that's grants@elbglobal.com.
elbglobal.com. See, thank you so much. Yes, grants@elbglobal.com. Thank you. I appreciate that. But at this time, if there are no more questions, we want to wish everybody a safe return back to school. Dawn, Bonnie, thank you both so much for sharing your knowledge with us. I appreciate it.
Welcome. We're here to help
You're
you.
welcome.
Please let us know if you need help.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.